welcome to the fourth and final episode of Season 4 of Blood Bonding. As you can see, I have our beautiful storyteller and our lovely Nosferatu. I think it's Nosferatu.
It's Tuwu.
Hexadecimal. Renee Cooper and Ellie Collins. I'm already there. This is a post-season show, so we will be spoiling parts of Season 4 and earlier seasons, so if you don't want to be spoiled on that, please go over to our YouTube and check out the previous videos in Season 4 of ATL by Night so that you can catch up and then come back here and watch us on the VOD. Other than that, we have a couple of announcements. Make sure you go to rustedicon.net for our Renasherie Camarilla glasses. They are beautiful red pint glasses with the symbol of the Renasherie Camarilla on them. Go to the atlbynight.net website for a copy of the Lost Child or Play Guide, and you too can play like you are in Atlanta. And then check out our Patreon at patreon.com/atlbynight so that you can join our play-by-post server. We've got a lot of new faces coming in. We've got a couple of anarchs on the server now. I'm sure nothing will go wrong. And feel free to join our fan Discord. There's a link on the page and probably in the chat or on the frame, I think around this area, somewhere down that way, probably. And also in the chat. So thank you so much for joining us for this final episode of Blood Bonding in Season 4. Hi, ladies. How are you?
Hi.
You both look amazing. I love the like. Did you get new glasses?
I've had them for about a year, but I haven't worn them on the show.
That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not used to you in the glasses.
I'll be wearing them on the show now because I need to see.
I can relate to that because I couldn't see past this camera if I didn't have mine on.
Yeah.
Probably
It's a
not
struggle
us.
to like read my notes because I'm trying to have the storyteller look, but now we're gonna prioritize glasses over goth aesthetic.
Now the storyteller gets to have a more like school librarian who might murder you look.
Yeah, we'll go with that. We'll call it that.
Have you seen actually have you seen Devil's Luck Gaming's
Yes.
VTO? Have you seen the fucking chain on the glasses?
Yes.
Like delicious.
It's beautiful.
Love it so much.
Glasses.
Just
That's a look.
aesthetic.
Just little bat wings.
Oh,
Yeah.
she's a Tremere, I think, or something, and
sounds
she's
about
got
right.
she's got like these great cat eye lenses with these beautiful chains, and I'm just like, I just want your glasses, ma'am.
No,
I mean, you're pretty, but your glasses are amazing.
Give me the glasses.
So yeah, how have we been? How have you been all season? We haven't seen you at the table.
I know. I had to make a very hard decision to not be in studio, and it was for the best of my new household. And I'm so happy. I know not everybody can say this, but I've gone all the way through, got my shots without having caught anything, and I did not catch COVID. And for the most part, most people that I love did not catch it too. So there were a couple cases, but we were, for the most part, very blessed. And so I think that kind of paid off just for the ease of mind. Yeah. But I waited till very recently and binged everything through Season 4. And I'm so glad I did. I was very invested. I was sad it was over.
Tons of stuff
and now we're
happened.
Here. Yes.
Tons of stuff happened this season. So what has Hex been up to this season? Other than Hawthorne.
Mostly Hawthorne. Been up with Hawthorne.
It's those new relationship vibes.
So I'm gonna say it's gonna be like obviously not your ideal relationship, but outside of that, so we'll touch on that because but I think what Hex has been doing and what I've come to terms with is Hex has actually been kind of incognito because while she's a new baby vampire and she's trying to not break the masquerade, she really misses the work she was doing before. And while being a shepherd is great and is very I get asked to do certain tasks and help with the tech stuff, she put things on autopilot around the house. Maybe the people didn't know, maybe my coterie didn't know so much. And
your
then
computer got unplugged, I think.
That's fine. It's just one. It is literally just, it's probably multiple, but it's not the only one.
You got a nice little server with Hex automation that boops Aaron randomly.
Yes. That's the only thing I didn't put in place. Maybe he doesn't know, but
you just need a little Roomba with a little rubber hand on it
No, but I said this in one of the YouTube comments. I was like, always check the PlayStation. Oh no, it was in our chat. I said, always check the PlayStation camera because I'm going to say that was on. And then I've got my little organic friends to kind of stay around the house, especially with Dot acting crazy. So, but yeah, I Hex took some more sort of like put on her face and did some remote working with people, and kind of kept an eye on the city that way, but also wanted to be involved in some stuff that was going on locally. And then finally got a text back from Mr. Sundari Garu, and gonna say that was an reward for a lot of good work, but it kind of fell around the same time as everything falling apart with everybody else.
Well,
so
Mr. Sundaru isn't the solution to every problem.
This is yeah, you can't. It was just like icing on a cake that was about to taste really bad. And but I'm glad that came to fruition even without my knowing, because like in my brain it already had. But when I heard it in the chat and then actually heard it on the show, I was like, yes! Sorry, I'm not gonna try that. I was like, yes!
I know, they're getting all the taps.
I know,
all the
I'm so sorry.
taps.
Tap, tap, tap. It's Morse code for Hawthorne, call me back now. But
it's just Hex trying to type in binary to say how excited.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very excited.
So I will say, storyteller-wise, I've kept a little note log of where I have assumed Hex was every time. And you pretty much hit all of it in your thoughts. There's a couple things that are more I, as the storyteller, meta know why it happened.
See, I love that works out so well. But yeah, I think I know that there was some investigating going into Dot as well, because as soon as the election was over, it became very obvious that not only did the coterie not really trust Dot, but there was reason behind it. And while, even though she is my mom, like I'm thinking like, well, maybe I need to distance myself from the coterie in order to get a better understanding of where both parties are coming from. And what I was kind of seeing from that perspective was not great and played out the way that it did with, okay, she's doing some sort of double crossing. There's creepy people making creepy chairs. Like I had to be more objective of that. And so it wasn't...
Cane bags.
Yeah, exactly, cane bags. So it wasn't easy. And like I know that going into this, it's hard because I care about Dot, but she obviously had an agenda that was more important. So, it's going to be, all right, Hawthorne, I'm going to have to get back to work. So I guess got like a weekend, just hang out and take selfies.
That Ash Nico song where it's like, do you want to play second fiddle to my job or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like, I gotta go to work. Girls gotta work. So, but yeah, I'm going to say that's what Hex is doing, and just keeping an eye on the places that the coterie probably didn't think eyes were there, and Dot made them think eyes weren't there. But of course, like how...
I was going to say, that brings up a really interesting point, because Dot has said that the cameras were down. How do I word this? Is Hex because I don't necessarily know if this is going to get revealed in season 5. Does Hex have access to the data that was in the cameras, despite the fact that Dot is saying they were down? Were they actually down?
I will say all that showed up for anyone looking is that there was a blackout in the cameras, like a full like DDoS system crash. So that's all it shows for anyone who looks.
Yeah. And we've had a couple, we've had a couple interactions on the play-by-post server that have been to that effect. I know that Ellie is particularly aware of some of the other functions that could happen as a result of that. But yeah, so it's very interesting because Hex is really in an odd place right now because Dot is sort of an antagonist of the Shepherds right now.
Yeah, but that's what builds drama, which is good.
Yeah.
I think what Thomasina said it literally while I was watching and thinking it unfold. She was like, well, when they saw Dot in the museum, I think that's when they asked her, well, maybe it was after, no, it was after the explosion. Like, well, if the cameras are out, like, why can't you just put a pigeon or a rat or something to explode? I was like, yes, Thomasina, yes. Like, that's exactly how you make sure. Like, while I love technology, sometimes you got to go to the analog routes. So that's kind of what I chose. I'm sure I'm going to have some very strange animals just around at strange, bizarre times. But yeah, it's having her as now a villain, I feel like puts me in the same sort of weird kind of Disney princess vibe that I wanted to be in the whole time. So I'm just like, oh no, my mom's evil, but my friends though, but my mom though. So
very Rapunzel of you.
yes.
Will we get a musical number?
I hope so.
We're just gonna choreograph the entire. That'd be a great video. I don't think we'd be able to do it. And none of us have musical theater backgrounds.
I've had plans before the pandemic for like little like VTM parody music videos, but that's gonna be well after the pandemic before one of them can get made because that involves like 45 people.
So for now, individual TikToks of mouthing over. I feel like I could. I already have one Hex TikTok. I think that I could make some more sort of like Disney Mother Knows Best sort of situation if I put my mind to it. Yeah, I'm on board with that. So it's, again, drama's good, and I think that's going to give me a lot to think about in terms of, you know, Hex's actions going forward.
Yeah, especially with Dot as your sire. So one of the more interesting NPCs that got introduced this season was the Council, and I know I've heard Ellie talk about the Council for, I think, probably 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah.
Like, this is not something that is a brand new thing that was improvised for this season. She's talked about it for a couple of years, at the very least, maybe longer.
Yeah.
And the idea's been bouncing around for a while. So did Hex meet with the Council, or do you have... What inspired the Council? Because it's a very interesting concept.
So first, inspiring of the Council came out of a running joke that a bunch of us were having on Who Watches the Watchmen. And it was like, there's the Justicars for the Grand Camarilla, but like, who's actually making sure any of the Camarilla actually follows the rules other than
who watches the mods, who watches the mod?
Yeah. But it's kind of the idea of like, a prince declares praxis and we just kind of assume that they're on the up and up. There's actually no checks and balances system in the Camarilla. And I was like, God, though, like, an actual checks and balances system would be terrifying. Like, it'd be like the IRS auditing. And then I have a fascination with cults, and certain cults have auditing in their practices. And always been fascinated with that aspect of the rapid fire questioning to get you to trip yourself up and reveal things that you shouldn't. And then... just being a longtime Malkavian player, it's been this idea of like, well, when a Malkavian diablerizes another Malkavian, that typically gets portrayed as like they're even crazier now because now there's 2 of them, and it's like, or, you know, it's like when you get with other people who have similar mental health issues as you, there's a level of understanding that actually can make you stronger in who you are.
Yeah, just diablerize a few coping methods.
Exactly. So, you know, a flock of Malkavians, if you will, or whatever a group of moons is.
A moony of Malkavians.
A murder of Malkavians. Can it be a murder?
But so, when you get a group of them...
It feels more Nosferatu.
It's kind of one of those, when you get a group of them, they would either be detrimental to each other, or they would be that much stronger. And so with it being a chain of command of they specifically train their childer to be able to take over for them, then that means everyone that is in the mind is actually like, they've been at this that much longer. You know, you're getting all your predecessors who can continue to train you and make you stronger and give you advice and everything all with you at once, because the Council in grand total is about... They constantly lie about their age because it's a different one saying their age. But I think the total age of the oldest council member is 850.
Yeah.
So they take a long
elder
time
territory.
to train. Yeah.
Crap, that's almost Methuselah territory.
Almost. The council is technically at all times 7th generation.
Yeah, because, and I think you mentioned the system is that they train their childer diablerizes them, moves up a generation because it's a willing diablerie, and then they also, what was it? I can't remember the full details, but we've talked about it.
Yeah.
And there's like a whole mechanical
I
consideration
have an
as well.
entire sheet of the mechanics of the council because a couple people have asked to bring the council into their game, so I've been detailing out an actual like character guide for the council, so anyone can use them to terrify their players if they want.
You can get a 300-page source book for VTM and then a 50-page source book for this NPC.
NPC downloads.
Well, because whenever I finish that guide, it will be all 8 members of the council. Because any of them have the ability to be the one speaking, technically.
To front, sort of
yeah.
like a
to borrow a term. But they can really only do it for a little bit. It's just their way of interjecting. But the one, number 8 that is currently out right now, they don't have names. They just have numbers. Very Umbrella Academy. Number 8 is always out. And then the others can just interject themselves. And number 8 was very much a crust punk from the 80s. So.
She's great. The whole group is fascinating, but the character is great. And then has Hex met with the council? Because I know most of the Camarilla has met with.
So Hex has not met the council. Hex is immune from the council at this time.
Not enough experience.
Hex doesn't exist on the books.
I was gonna say Hex is a blank body probably or something like that.
Hex does not exist on the books due to Dot.
I am sure that nothing bad will come of that ever.
Well, I could just try not to be erased.
There's a couple other Nosferatu that don't exist on the books, like Mouse.
Yeah, I'll say Mouse.
Mouse doesn't exist, so Mouse has not been audited, and the council accepts this as part of Nosferatu culture.
Mouse doesn't exist for complicated reasons, from what I can understand.
Mouse is a child, and thus Mouse would be executed immediately.
Right.
Whereas Hex was sired during a hiring freeze, and so all evidence of her is missing. If the council were to find Hex's existence is explained by being a visiting Nosferatu.
And how could they prove it otherwise?
Exactly.
I just put on an accent. I'll be like, I'm from Dallas, Texas. That was a terrible accent.
That was so terrible. I think you'd have been better at saying like, well, I'm from Louisiana, and down by you we do these crab balls.
I would just say, ooh, share, and then that would be the end of it.
But
I don't know why I say California. I'm from California. I have way better California
accent.
Yeah. I wanted to just throw in somewhere else. They'd be like, no, she's definitely...
See, this feels like what would have happened if Hex had been with the coterie when they infiltrated the tabernacle.
Yeah.
It's just come up with a random accent like, oh, I'm from Mississippi.
Yeah. Oh, hey, it's me. I'm an investigator. For the president.
And so the council was super fun to bring around this season. I've been wanting to do it for a while. I thought post-election, when everybody's like, we did it, we accomplished getting a new court, was a great time to go, and what if we threw it all under the bus? Because we have much bigger things coming with things like the Succubus Club, which for people who are new to VTM is a big thing, usually tied with the ministry / followers of Set. It's usually an anarch thing, but it's also kind of a free-for-all party for people. And we're kind of turning it into a thing where our finale for every season is a dress-up occasion. So I figured
which is delightful.
Yeah, we'll bring around the Succubus Club and continue our traditional finale dress-up party.
So excited.
So speaking of the finale, one person wanted to ask, because you did something interesting with the combat in the finale, where you included an adapted version of the initiative system, and you made a couple of on-the-fly rulings that helped with the flow of the combat. Can you elaborate a little on those decisions, or what led you to take that path?
Yeah, so I knew going in that there was going to be 6 stages of combat. Because the entire finale and the Sabat setup is based on the movie The Warriors, which for any of the young folks who don't know The Warriors, it's such a good movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I wanted that whole vibe of that movie, of them trying to get home with all the different gangs coming out of nowhere. And so and I had just been on an interview where I was asked what's something you wish Vampire would bring in, and I was like, fucking initiative, because the idea that everything happens all at once can work in some situations, but when you have 5 players and you know that combat should be a little more involved than your standard 3 turns and out rule, because that's the standard. Just let everybody have 3 turns and then you're done. But knowing that this was going to be a warrior style finale, I was like, okay, let's do initiative. And then that helps me as the storyteller make sure everybody gets a turn.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody gets to do something cool because this is the finale. This is a big thing. If somebody goes down, let them have done cool stuff the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
And so then a lot of the on-the-fly rulings were just for pacing, because a lot of the in-game rulings, it just has to narratively make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So my job as a storyteller is to provide a fulfilling story and cinematic experience for both the players and the audience. And if bogging down with the rules is going to mess up the high-paced action, then I'm just going to make a ruling and we go. And because that keeps the tension as well. I picked up a little bit from when Shane Easton was our storyteller on No Kindred Hungry, where like she told us that a car was coming at us. We started to kind of like hem-haw about it, and then she just started going 5, 4, 3. And we're like, oh God, I jump out of the way. And it makes those scenes so much more tense for everybody when you can just put the urgency on everything that happens. So stopping to make a formal ruling on something, and I knew like how I had statted out the characters. So if somebody tried something on someone, I knew if it was going to fail or pass. So it was very little dice rolling. It was heavy, like, let's go through this. This is combat. This is just an episode dedicated to combat.
And that's great advice for anyone who's running a TTRPG, honestly, is just sometimes with combat, it's better to add the tension and keep the story going than it is to get bogged down in discussions or debates about, but why isn't my fire burning the ends of their hair and making a smell that makes us noticeable? Like the random esoteric, his hair smells terrible. It's burning hair. But yeah, that's actually, I thought it was very interesting, and I know that a couple of our viewers were interested in finding out more.
I liked how it went through the city, and like I could almost kind of see. I think I got lost actually listening to it and watching it, but like I just imagined where they were, and at some point they were running down the street between the Hilton and the Marriott.
So where's your guess as to which parking deck they ended up in?
They ended up in a parking lot.
Oh, was it a parking? That's right. It was a lot, not a deck.
It was a lot. And I can say for the Meta Atlanta people, for one, there is a map of the entire route that they ran.
I remember.
Because I mapped it out so that I, as a storyteller, made sure that I was describing everything that they were passing, which I can put that on our Discord. But yeah, I had a map of every single location that they stopped at, everything that was there. The parking lot that they ended up in is a parking lot near the CNN Center that in Marvel movies has been used as both the Wakanda Marketplace and in Thor Ragnarok where they had the big Hulk festival among all the villagers. So it's that like huge empty rundown parking lot.
Oh, the not the graveyard. Is that what they call it? They can't call it that. That's a terrible name for.
I think they call it that, but it's that when you're driving over the bridge and it's just that it's where like normally a bunch of tour buses park.
Yeah, I know where. That's not where I thought they were, but that I know where that is now. Yeah,
that's where the big final fight was, because that felt very Warriors, big empty parking lot. But
Finger snaps and rhythm. Wait, no, that's West Side Story.
That's West Side Story. Warriors is clinking bottles.
Warriors, coterie, come out to play.
But yeah, so, and I wanted to take them through kind of like highlights, like, I will say there is something that I took the coterie by, but not through, that might come up in season 5. I'm not sure yet.
Didn't they start at Grady?
They started...
Oh, no, they started at the...
They started at the Claremont.
Yeah.
They went from Claremont.
This is the Claremont.
I mean, they
close
went
enough.
They went from Claremont.
Can crushing.
They went from the Claremont, essentially diagonal, across Atlanta to more or less the CNN Center parking deck, and then out of the parking deck into the parking lot.
Wow.
Yeah. I've seen the map, which is why I was interested to see if Hex had figured out where they got to. So, since you haven't been asked by the council, I can skip that question.
Okay.
So, we know you've played a character in a historically set campaign. I don't know if you have yet. If you were to play, let's make this another character. So not a historical Viking, not a historical Irish. What was she again? She was a
thief.
Tremere, right?
No, no. So I've played an Irish Malkavian thief. I've played a Gangrel Viking, and I just played a Tremere outlaw.
Oh, your Tremere outlaw. That look was just fantastic.
Thank you. Nobody ever recognizes me when I have red hair.
But if you were to play a historically set game, and a different historically set game, obviously for you, what era or place or time would you like to see a version of your character in?
How far back are we talking history? Just
anywhere. It's history. It's all in the past.
I would want to be a 1970s, like bombshell, like Foxy Cleopatra vampire that was, I don't know what race this would be. I think Gangrel would be pretty cool, but she looks like she's got like the afro, but she's got like the tight arm build and like is like just like Evan shites up, and because I don't know, I forget what our rating is, but just like
you can say fucking
shit up, this Foxy Cleopatra chick, and just being really cool, but also like she has to feed, and she probably would be whatever Alpha is, where she has to also like
siren
feeder. Siren feeder.
Gotta get it done because that's the 70s.
Listen, it would be, I would never be hungry.
Worth it.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Never go hungry
Well,
again.
if you ever want to see Hex in an Egyptian setting, Succubus Club.
That'll be cool.
With the Succubus Club being more ministry / followers of Set, it's usually Egyptian-esque in nature.
Will there be those cute cats there that have
Maybe.
no hair?
Maybe.
I feel like they wouldn't want too many cats there because that would end up being snacks.
No, that's just the one that like the club owner has. It's like dripped in
like
gold.
Just one Sphinx cat with like a gold necklace on that's
Hell
just
yeah.
sleeping the entire party.
That's just the cat that we know named Senpai.
Half of the people in the party are there trying to play with this cat. They're just like, I want to pet it,
and the cat's just like, leave me alone. I'm trying to nap. I never get to nap.
Yeah, people at party, half of them at the cat.
I like when you pet me, but not like that.
Yeah, I don't like it. Okay, stop.
My historical, I feel like I'm cheating because I'm about to run a cowboy game, which I've always wanted to do. Also, in planning stages for a pirate game, which I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
So out of what's left, I think it'd be really fun to do the 50s and be a very crisp and clean Stepford wife, housewife. Like,
has anyone ever run a campaign set in Carthage?
Not that I have played. But I think it'd be really fun to do a very like Mad Men, but like VTM campaign.
Would you be like what is her name? January Jones. I was like, Summer Sanders. Nope, that is the wrong performer. January Jones.
Is that a Nickelodeon reference?
It is. It's
the
swimmer. Valid.
She was the swimmer.
Yeah.
She was the one who hosted the trivia show with Lori Beth McDonald and the face that you filled out words.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's the name that came to my head.
What can
the game show was Figure It Out?
Figure it out. We couldn't
January Jones. January Jones, not Summer Sanders.
More accurately to me would be Christina Hendricks.
Fair.
Shout out to Summer Sanders, whatever she's doing right now.
I hope she's thriving.
Tweet
Probably
her later.
swimming.
Okay, I hope so.
I hope she kept that up.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's a hobby you dedicate so much time to that you do the Olympics. Like, you keep doing it after.
You hope so. All right, I'm gonna look her up
Or
later.
you burn out.
Or both.
Yeah. But yeah, I would love to do a 50s housewife game because I feel like a Ventrue 50s housewife is just like chef's kiss. You know, you're the head of the PTA, like that kind of Ventrue attitude. That would be so much fun.
I also love that. Yeah.
Oh, or an anarch Stepford wife. That would terrify
I think
me.
Stepford wives are just Malkavians.
Money just comes out of their mouth. You're like, where did that? Okay.
Their former Sabat that have gone into the chair, the naughty chair.
Wait, did they become the chair? Like,
Probably.
Nietzsche's? Okay.
It's an Adirondack chair. It's just 3 people named Addie, Ron, and Jack.
What is it, Vasantasena?
Yeah.
Score sheet with the chair, the naughty kindred chair.
Yeah. Descendo of Vasantasena. All people that need deprogramming go in the naughty chair.
And then become the chair.
So, do we have a character for you to? Yeah, grab one of your characters. What were your characters like as grab one of them? You've got a few. You've got a couple. You've got a couple spare. What were your characters like as teens? And if they could have met each other, who would have been the alpha teen?
I feel like Hex would always be the alpha teen.
Okay, so I actually, and you could tell me if this is like off-screen discussion that we could ask, but remember when Dot was like, I found this one. That's her voice when I say it. I found this one beat in an alley somewhere. Like she said something like that, right?
You had a car wreck.
Okay.
She found you after a car wreck.
Okay, because I was like, what the
after
hell
your
happened to me? And even I think Aaron was like, what do you want to talk about? No, I don't want to talk about it because I don't know what happened yet. Okay.
The story for the group and you is that you had a car wreck, your car flipped a bunch of times off 285 because deadliest highway in America.
Oh, that is very scary.
And Dot embraced you to save your life.
Oh my gosh, so I am a magical girl because that is the exact same story that Mommy has from Madoka Magica.
Yeah.
And then she gets her head bit off. Spoilers, go watch it.
Spoilers for Madoka Magica as well,
exactly.
I guess.
Go watch it. Yeah. Okay, so but as a teen, so that gets me. I was like, what? Why was my life hard? But it wasn't hard. It was hard because I flipped off of a thing.
And you were a graduate of college at that point.
Yeah. So I think as a teen, I honestly think that I would be still, or Hex would be very kind of book smart, but I do see kind of the alignment of Hex and Renee where I was a nerd, but I had other things that I liked. So I think Hex was a nerd, but she also liked other things like maybe like art and singing, but like computers were always her thing. And, gaming was also a big part of it. And she just became more and more of this amalgamous, like, Black girl nerd who was in the community before it was really, really that cool to be that. But finding my peoples, and I had she probably had a very strong personality, but was also like, I gotta focus on this thing. So I don't know if alpha though. Alpha, naked alpha.
I just think because so the character that I'm thinking of, if I am to use one, is Falcon, because Falcon's the closest to me, and Falcon is so full of anxiety, so much. She did not want to be a primogen. It was but I really want people to not think the Brujas suck, so I guess I'll do it. And then every new Bruja she meets, it's that gif of John Ralphio going that's too much responsibility, I gotta get out of this.
Just on the Playboy post, just behave yourself because I don't want to have to kill you.
Yeah.
Whoa, calm down. No, this is not me threatening you. This is me telling you how it is. I genuinely don't want to have to kill you. Please behave.
Yeah, this is the process. It's not a threat.
It's her being please dear God, don't make me do a job. I
don't
don't have it in me.
Right. Don't make me have to get involved.
So she, as a teen, she was very much very good girl, did what her parents told her, grew up in a very ambitious Jewish family, and she loved everything about it. She loved studying, she loved being a part of that. And then once she got to college, she met a boy, and that boy sucked. And
in the vampire way, or also in the just human way?
No, in just the human way. And so and it was a guy that she had met through her grad study program. And so she decided no. And she decided to be more outgoing and more punk and everything. And grad study isn't exactly what she did, but it equivalent of that for today. But she met a guy that sucked, got more punk, but the still studious little girl is very inside her. So if she met Hex, she would be whatever you say.
Nex would have hated studying. Liked doing, hates studying.
She would have been like, look, I'll copy down the notes for you. Like, I'll make copies. It'll be fine.
Nice. And then you can come to my house after school, use the computer, and
Sweet.
we can put the Backstreet Boy CD in the
Hell
thing.
yes.
Because you know that the Backstreet Boy CD from back in the day
Yeah.
was not just a CD. It wasn't just the
Not. It
music.
was a
You could put it in the
DVD.
computer.
It was a
Yep.
And
DVD
things
as well.
would
Oh,
happen.
that's true.
Yeah.
That was before they started region locking the CDs too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hex likes white boy bands.
SI
Yeah.
That's
happens
all
to the
right.
best of us.
I know.
That's all right.
They're there.
No one's perfect.
She likes better music now, but you know.
I feel like Hex is one of those people who like hates studying but could spend literally 4 hours reading the same topic on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Like, I hate studying unless I'm interested.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Falcon to somebody is just like, did you know there's an end to Wikipedia? I found it. It was weird.
You didn't read the same thing over and over again?
There's not an end to Wikipedia because there are unfinished articles. Not the point.
Falcon would have reached the end of those two. It would bug her to the ends of the earth that they're not finished.
They're all bookmarked. She just has a folder
Yeah,
that's
she's
just
got
a bookmark.
unfinished wishes.
She would just
She's got them
just
all
has,
bookmarked and she just updates them.
She just has the
periodically.
stub tag bookmarked on her browser so
Yeah.
that she can go clean up the stubs. Oh.
I believe it.
So, speaking of like personal touches, Sirius's room kind of looks plain from what we can tell. We've had some really high perception checks to see what the
From
fuck
what
is in
you
the
can
room,
tell.
and nothing has popped up. What are the personal touches that you've added for NPCs or that are in Hex's room?
Hex has a lot of computers and monitors and just techie things that will plug in without blowing whatever old system is
So many power supplies.
electrifying.
The
this.
Camarilla probably rewired that house.
Probably, hopefully. I mean, she probably did her own sort of just like making sure with a lot of understanding of how to do that. But
Just 2 or 3 generators since you won't die of carbon monoxide poison.
of course not. Yeah,
Carbon
it's
monoxide.
there. I think that, I mean, I definitely have a standee of Sephiroth in my room now since
Yes.
Dragon Con.
Yes.
And I'm sure there's, I think that Hex, she presents and ingests a lot more pop culture things than she really cares about. And I know there's going to be like K-pop posters of people she has no idea who they are. They're just like, I found
it's a good
this.
connection
and
to humanity.
yeah, and she puts them up as like pretty boy, you know, like some of them look like they could be kindred. So it's like
I'm
you-
imagining Hex stumbling through a conversation like, yeah, I'm Army.
Yeah, super.
I have a BTS
RM.
poster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dynamite. Anyway, so my roommate's gonna be like, you know more than that. But just some cool artsy embracing that whole kind of like the fangirl Fujoshi situation, just because it's a cool overall look and maybe a little bit different than at the time she was turned. Probably was Hex probably acting a little bit more studious during that time, and then it's like, okay, now what is time? Let's focus on some of these other things that are more maybe artistic, but also like just pretty distractions from when you're here hyper focused on a computer all day. It's nice to look up and be like, V, and you just go back.
Thank you, pretty
Sephiroth,
human, for
yes.
looking down on
Thank
me.
you for existing.
For that, I can't
Yeah.
wait for Hex to meet Sybil.
You have made my scripting more attractive.
Right.
Like Sybil and her like heavy pop culture because she's 4
And
months
Pippa.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
And Pippa to an extent. Like,
Yeah.
even Pippa's got some much more modern references than some of our other Coterie members.
I do love both of them. Their giggles, like they were giggling about something, and I was like, how do I make that a ringtone? Like it was so adorable to
It's
see
so
them.
precious.
And I wasn't sure, like, okay, what direction are we gonna go? And I'm like, okay, who is texting Aaron? And I love seeing them visually brought on screen, and I just liked their camaraderie, and again the suspense of like, what did you do, Pippa? Like, I want to like you, but I know. So, but no, they're both amazing to watch and just really adorable. And yes, me and Sybil, like, and Pippa, like, where are we going? Wrestling? Okay, like, make that happen. Let's go.
Sybil was fun for me because Sarah's my best friend. And so when I realized they were going to be meeting Sybil before Sarah could be on the show, I sat there and was like, oh, now I have to do an impression of my friend. Let's see. And I came out from the episode. Well, I came out from the episode though to just a slew of Snapchats of her like wheeze laughing, and she was like, "You read me for filth. That's exactly how I talk." But personal touches for NPCs. I do have personal touches in all of the Primogen's places. So like Falcon has a Torah that she has had since she was a little girl. So it's extremely old, very weather worn, but that is hidden in her house. Dot has one of the Moonanites sign from Adult Swim from when they placed them all over Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
Dot has one of
that's a throwback.
Yeah, Dot has one of those in her train car. She has like a lot of varying neon signs, but that's like her pride and joy that she stole that one. Tilly actually has like some very expensive original art pieces, but nobody knows that they're in there. And due to the sheer amount of her own paintings that are in the house, they're very much kind of like lost among the fray. Like there's a wall that's just nothing but paintings.
Does she have like those horror house walls where they're just covered in paintings that are old and so like you can't
This is like those
tell?
Collage walls of paintings, but like among like 40 of them that are Tilly's, there's one that's actually worth a couple million. Because to her it's just all art. And it's all beautiful. It doesn't matter. Proctor has a lot of Proctor has a horseshoe collection that are from every year that she has been Kindred. And she has a special horseshoe that is bent and interlocked with another horseshoe because that one was given to her by Tilly when they started dating.
That's cute.
Does she have one that she specifically hits Anton with?
That's just the one on her fist. She has a set of brass knuckles, but it's a horseshoe.
It's just a bracelet with a horseshoe charm on it. And
a fucking horseshoe that was like melted down into knucks.
Little horseshoe on every knuckle.
Sorry, Anton.
I'm trying to remember. Tabitha has Tabitha's home is hideous. I feel the need to point that out.
Oh no.
Because Tabitha is very much the red and leopard print mom.
Oh no! I know exactly who you. Yeah.
So Tabitha actually
She's
has.
the cool mom.
Tabitha has a dress from the nanny that she bought on an auction. So she has that leopard print dress from the nanny.
I love that.
That she has hanging up. Who am I forgetting?
And then just trash. So we've got Tilly Proctor.
Denise.
Oh, yep.
Denise has a vintage 57 Mustang that is powder blue that is in her garage.
Oh, that's pretty.
And she rebuilt that. So Denise built that car from like a scrap that she got.
My brother did that when he was in high school. It is a lot of work.
Oh, yeah. And when you have eternity, what does it matter?
Yeah.
And then Alpha's house, which nobody has seen. Nobody knows where Alpha's Haven is. Alpha's Haven actually contains the first edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Oh, that's neat.
He is actually a very smart man.
Oh, no. He fakes being a himbo. He fronts himboism.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
He's not a himbo.
No, he's extremely intelligent, and I will say he has a... I won't say roommate, but there is a member of the court that lives in his apartment building right below him, and they hate it.
I'm trying to think who would live... Yeah.
I can't say who because I have a feeling the play-by-post server will then try and figure it out.
Well, I know it's not Alima because she bought an entire golf course.
Yeah.
Alima lives, like, in Alpharetta.
That doesn't surprise me.
I didn't even
on the Johns Creek side.
Oh, yeah,
Oh my
100%.
gosh, yeah.
I can tell you exactly what function she goes to. I can tell, like
her whole life.
I'm dialed a little bit in.
I think
Just
that's
a little bit.
all the Primogen. But yeah, they each have these little personal touches. And I keep like a doc where I just kind of keep writing like little notes to myself about it, because something like, you know, Denise's car, it's not really character relevant, but if the coterie decides to get nosy around the property, I like having those little fun facts for them to find.
Yeah, it builds out personality.
Yeah.
So this is, you mentioned the play-by-post server. This is the first season we've had it, and I know you haven't had as much time to interact on it. I think you've done a little bit. I think you jumped in a teensy bit.
Right at the turn of the year. Is that how people say that? Right in the new year, I was on it, and then life exploded, and I had to.
Yeah, you've been very busy lately.
Yeah, but I tried because I really wanted to, especially with the Anton Falcon situation. I was like, what? And then I never got to dive deeper, probably for my own health. But
there's some great scenes on there. Highly recommend it. So. Beautiful writing. Okay. And now there's going to be much more fire because we have 2 anarchs.
More fire.
And book up. Oh no, we don't have any Tremors right now, do we?
Mm-mm.
Well, Tremors, sign up. We need you on the play-by-post server to cause problems. But has it impacted how you've story told as well, or how you've tracked like story elements, story beats throughout the city?
So in a way, no. Because my tent poles for the story tend to be pretty rigid on what I need to accomplish. But it's affected my storytelling in the sense of I try to make sure when I'm writing something to consider how it would impact the server. So like when introducing the council, I had conversations with both you and our lore master, Saren, on how to bring that to the play-by-post server, which wound up being I did 30-minute one-on-one council interrogations with all the players on the server.
Cool. And honestly, the funnier part was the players' reactions afterwards, where they were panicking and trying to figure out what to tell each other and what not to.
Yeah, a few of them incriminated themselves real bad, and I was taking notes the whole time. We made a doc to share among all the mods so that we could mess with people.
That's awesome.
So it's more so it's informed my storytelling in the opposite direction, like having a server of people that I can give even more to. I look for the ways to take the story that I'm telling for these players and how can I give a piece of that to them. We had a player that essentially, because of just bad decisions and bad dice rolls, he is now in Aaron's current situation where he has been kidnapped by the Second Inquisition and is being experimented on. Thanks. And we'll see what happens on that front. So it's fun for me to be able to take the things that we only get to do for 2 hours here, and I can kind of stretch them out and have more fun with them that way when I have time.
Yeah, exactly. And for those who aren't aware, the mods do play the NPCs as well. So we've got a whole run sheet for how to run the Primogen and everything like that. And
we have a chat too, so that it's like, what would Tilly say to their, what would Falcon say if an anarch hit on her? It's like, she's like, please don't.
Ew.
Stop that.
Yeah.
Great one-liners. Ew. Gross.
Yeah, those are my favorite words. Ew.
It's not even about you. Just don't do that. Yeah. Don't do that. I'm not. No. So here's an interesting thing. So talking about Dot and Dot having a Sabbat history, I don't think that's a spoiler.
That's not a spoiler.
Yeah.
She has at least friendship with figures of the Sabbat.
Yeah, she has ties to the Sabbat.
Is one woman who was working with Cirrus, who came into town, the dark-haired one.
Lucita.
Lucita's a big member of the Sabbat. And
that's from the season 3 vignettes, by the way. Yes. So I think the third vignette?
I think so, yeah. Yeah. And Falcon has referenced that something very traumatic happened to Falcon that Dot did, that Dot does not remember, but Falcon absolutely remembers, and that is why Falcon does not go around her. Mm-hmm. She does not interact with her. She does not go anywhere near her. She wants to remain as non-perceived by Dot as humanly possible because she doesn't want Dot to remember what happened between them during the final nights. So Dot has a history, whether it is specifically a Sabbat history or an Anarch history or an independent history or just brutal Camarilla history. We don't know. We just know that she is friendly with core figures of the Sabbat.
Yeah. Has Dot imparted any of that onto Hex?
I would like to think I'm
nope.
I'm apolitical. Like I
Dot has
No
not
idea.
told Hex anything.
Yeah.
So no closet sabbats at the table?
Mm-mm.
Between the SI, the Sabbat, and now maybe Anarchs, what group would you rather have to deal with as a character? Like, what would Hex rather have to deal with? The SI, Sabbat, or Anarchs?
Don't the Anarchs just like set stuff on fire like all the time?
Anarchs. So Anarchs are
Anarchs just
essentially Anarchs are essentially anti-Camarilla, and so occasionally they set stuff on fire. But when they're in power, not often. I think. I mean,
Yeah,
not
they seem kinda
not as
like-
a not as an institution. Let me put it that way.
When they're in power, they're just Diet Camarilla. So.
So yeah, I think that I think the SI is probably the scariest, and that would be the hardest because they are not kindred, so they have an ingrained fear of us. And whenever you are not in that group, like that makes that even scarier. And they just
and true
wanna
faith.
get out. Yes. And
They have true faith
where
on
they
their
can
side.
hurt you by just believing in God.
yeah. So that's a little scary.
They can say praise Jesus, amen, and you take 1 aggravated damage.
I know. That is weird. And I'm like,
Trust me, every old lady in the South has true faith.
right. Oh, like
Yeah, but their true faith in their mama's cooking.
the Renee side of me is like, that's cool, but like that's not cool. Like it's not like, you know, the different. Don't kill the different, please. So I think that would be the scariest, and because
I'll make a note.
yeah, even with, I mean,
Southern
yeah.
true faith is just remembering your mama's cornbread recipe.
Yeah.
Everyone knows you know the right way to make cornbread and the wrong way.
Yep.
right.
Oh God, yeah.
So yeah, that would be that I think would be the scariest, because you know I'm not even afraid of Garus. I'm just like, and they're on my team.
Yeah.
I will say, I have fears of not necessarily a certain sect or a certain enemy, but what I have fears of what is going to happen to the coterie, because like, so one of the things I did with this season was I wanted to give them a bit of a choose your own adventure on how the finale was going to go. There was a version of the finale that was not the Warriors. There was a version where everything was fine and they got to kill Lydia.
And it was certain decisions throughout the season that determined that,
Yeah.
right?
So I pretty much had 6 possible outcomes, and their decisions pushed them towards one or the other outcomes. And I've done that again this time. And the way that the finale ended is one of the starters for season 5, because not only with the finale, I also had a side list of what's going to be how season 5 starts. And we're on one of the starters for season 5. Their actions chose this one, and I'm scared of it. Because, like, as a storyteller, I always am weirded out by GMs, DMs, STs that actively want to kill their players and hurt their players, like, in that way.
Yeah.
Because to me, I love all these characters at the table. If I will never intentionally put a death situation in front of everyone. If these characters die, it's going to be because of their own choices. Or just a really bad dice roll.
Like Anton tried to kill himself with fire. And you're like, you will die. Like, sorry, that was really funny too.
Well, and that I knew we had been 2 hours into this game and it was high stress. So that was me as a storyteller going, Anton would know better than to walk into a fire.
Anton's like, kill us both then, and just walks right into the fire. You're like, wait, okay, well, season 5.
There's characters I've played where that is what they would do, though.
Yeah, and when that's the player decision, that's fine. I don't like pushing that as a storyteller. I don't like pushing my players into something where I'm like wringing my hands like, ha ha ha, they're about to die. Like,
yeah, try to give them enough clues to not die.
Yeah.
If possible.
Yeah, so the stuff that's coming, I'm like, oh, we're reaching stuff where death is really possible.
Way to go, Coterie. All you had to do was survive until I came back. And
the amount of...
They've managed.
Can't have a Garu booty call without you destroying half of the city.
amount of nervous sweating that I did all through season 4. Just there are times where I go back and rewatch episodes and I can see my face, like, that if you know me too well, you'll know the moment that they, like, switched the track for the train.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
oh, I've seen your face throughout the season. I know.
Yeah,
I know.
They'll do something, and you can see my face on, like, they're going towards option 2, and then you just see on my face the click towards the next track.
Okay. This is the way we're going.
All right.
Okay.
Yep.
And each time getting a little more nervous and a little more nervous and a little more nervous. And, like, all of the endings were ranked on a scale of 1 to 6, 1 being the good ending, 6 being the worst ending.
So they get, like, what, 4?
Yep. They got ending number 4.
I've played games with you for so long now.
They got season 5 starter number 5. Could be number 6. Let's see what they do.
Let's find out.
And so, nervous sweating.
This is some Shin Megami Tensei shit.
This is the most anime-filled episode of Blood Bonding I think we've had, actually.
You're welcome.
It's valid because we're both weebs.
No, yeah. I mean,
we're hitting the Aizen Soul Society arc.
Oh no!
Is it spoilers? Should we mark that as a spoiler for season 5?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say for Bleach, and I was like, wow, we are way past that. Watch some good anime, people. Gosh.
Bleach spoilers. I know it's been out for like 15 years,
Bleach
but
spoilers. Aizen faked his death.
Aizen's the bad guy now.
He takes off his glasses.
I'm a villain.
I don't know why that part got me. He takes off his glasses. What?
That's alright, I couldn't see anything. I'd die as a villain within 2 seconds if it required being without glasses.
Oh my god.
He's like, whoa.
This is what I get for, like, rewatching the Bleach Rock musicals, like, for a week straight lately.
Nani?
Nani desu yo.
Oh, season 5 is gonna be a mess.
This is just water.
It is. We're all sober.
We are all stone cold sober. This is just us.
This is just
how we
chaos.
make a serious
Great
show.
to
I
be
don't know.
here. Yeah.
It's because we get all the giggles out at the beginning. Well, I don't. I'll be
No,
honest,
sometimes
I don't make serious.
Sometimes Tyler says only fangs directly before we go on air, and I don't know how to exist after that.
It was such a good line.
It
There's
was.
some great break time and prior to starting,
Yeah.
and like just after ending lines that just don't get filmed.
Yeah.
That's for us to enjoy.
But we save all the giggles for like pre, mid, and post.
Yeah.
That's how we do it. So if your characters had one night, no disasters, no fires to put out, how would they spend the night? How would you like to see your characters? Let's say, I don't know, Falcon. How would Falcon spend the night if there were no disasters?
Falcon would probably spend the whole night trying to finish off some Manischewitz, and then getting really mad when she can't. And then she would go out with her coterie and probably just like see how long it took them to get caught by the cops street racing.
The birds of prey.
Yeah.
The Garu Club, and then the Garu. That's how I would spend my night.
Violet
The Garu
Sin,
Club and then the other Garu
And
Club.
the Garu.
Yeah, Violet Sin
Then
does
Club
now, part of the agreement is Mooney allows the shepherds free passage in Violet Sin. So they're allowed to go to the club anytime.
Allows now. It's allowed.
Oh yeah, y'all have gotten killed. Y'all have. Welcome to Southern Grammar.
Welcome to the
y'all have
South.
y'all have gotten killed before that.
Yeah, I think I snuck in a couple times before.
Yeah, no, Hex had snuck in a couple
But was
times,
I-
and they knew it was you.
Because I smell like the worm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You smell like the worm, so they were just like, oh, it's fine, that one's cute. Like,
They're like, that's a terrible disguise she's wearing.
So is Hawthorne serious? Is that a serious? Are we
No.
gonna see? No.
No, not serious. I mean, I think it's more of a. Well, I don't see that as. It's not like a booty call situation, but it's like a friends with benefits sort of situation.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I do feel like it was based off of the timing of kind of when it was announced that like, oh yeah, they went on a date together like earlier on, and then like the selfie that I was able to take was kind of like Hex going to a semi-safe place because she couldn't be where the coterie was and she couldn't be where Dot was. So this is kind of like almost like a safe make-believe place. And he had been in the, we've been working up to that. But I think that it's back to work time. And while that may be like a thing, like obviously I can't leave the coterie alone for too long without them burning things down and finding people to burn things down.
And then embracing a Garu is a big no-no, so that can't be.
Oh, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't work? Yeah.
No, and that wouldn't be in the plan. Like, I think that it's very cool that worked. And it was almost kind of like a not a check mark, because that sounds awful, but just like
a little notch on your nose on your like train car.
But also like, oh my gosh, like how out of someone's league do you have to be like literally the race that's going to kill the other one, So
it's very Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, and I think Hawthorne feels Romeo and Juliet about it, where it's like he genuinely likes Hex. He has liked her the whole time, but she will always reek of the worm, which means it's never going to be like a permanent thing. And just Kindred and Garu, like if he tried to have a full relationship with her and bring her home to the tribe, like she would be killed on the spot.
Do you have a living sister that he can
So
no, I would never share. No.
For Hawthorne, it's it's caring for Hex enough to have the logic that it's never going to be a real thing. So he's just going to enjoy whatever time they can grab. So, like, he doesn't expect more.
Very philosophical.
And that's why he ghosted her so much. But then it was just eventually, like, she seems chill enough that, like, I can probably tell her, like, we know that this is never going to go anywhere. But, like, if you're home alone and I'm home alone, I'd like to watch a movie with you.
Yeah.
But only if no one can see us do that.
I mean,
exactly.
Yeah. And I think that, honestly, like on a spiritual level, I hope people have real relationships like that. Someone that like you get to that point and then it's just time to be like, that's what that was, and you both understand, and then you go your other directions.
They happen. They do happen.
It's kind of
they very much happen.
It's kind of friends with benefits. It's kind of a, like, we have mutual acknowledgement that we love each other, but also mutual grown-up attitudes that this is also loving each other is not always enough.
Yeah.
And so Hawthorne's fine existing in that space forever.
Yeah.
And on that note, we are out of time for Blood Bonding. Thank you so much for joining us tonight with these two beautiful ladies. And don't forget to go to rustedicon.net for our Renashery Camarilla glasses. Don't forget to go to atlbynight.net for our Lost Childhood Play Guide. Patreon.com/atlbynight to join our play-by-post server where you can see even more antics that are happening off screen in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And join our fan Discord for conversations with cast, crew, and other fans. Thank you so much for joining us. We love you. Have a nice night. Goodbye.